Well, ground beef is on the menu today. I'm going to be sharing 3 ground beef recipes, so if you are looking for some ground beef inspiration, you are definitely in the right spot. These recipes are quick and easy, which is always important in my kitchen, but one of them really knocked it out of the park with my family, and I think you're going to love it too. Well, hey, if we haven't met, I'm so glad you're here. My name is Ange, and this is the Menu Made Kitchen. Well, my family enjoyed all of these ground beef recipes, but I wanted to share this one first because it was definitely their favorite. This is my taco sloppy joes. If you've ever had classic sloppy joes, you know it's a trusty recipe that's always yummy and it's super easy to make, but adding a Mexican twist and those flavors just takes it up the top in my opinion. Well, if you've ever made sloppy joes, you know how fast it comes together, and this one comes together super fast as well. So I've got about 3/4 cup of diced yellow onion, and I'm actually not going to add any fat or oil to this. We have 1 pound of lean ground beef, which will offer just enough fat that we need. Okay, so we're gonna get this browned up and our onions softened. Our family loves sloppy joes, so I'm really excited about this sloppy taco burgers, which is basically sloppy joes, only more taco flavors. I think it'll be fun, something a little bit different. But you know, this filling would be so good in tacos. So if you wanted to make this filling and then put it in some soft tacos or even crunchy tacos and don't do the buns, that would be just as delicious. Okay, our beef is browned and there's just a little bit of fat in there. I'm just gonna leave it because there's not much anyway. So now I'm gonna add in a whole packet of this low sodium taco seasoning, or you can do your own homemade taco seasoning, but you definitely want to make sure it's low sodium because we are going to be adding in some taco sauce, which also has salt, so you don't want this to be over salted. I'm going to toast the taco seasoning for about 30 seconds. Okay, and next ingredients, I'm going to do 1/4 cup of water, and then I'm adding 1 cup of this mild red taco sauce. Now, I've seen other recipes use salsa, so you can definitely do that, but I love the mild taco sauce on my tacos, so I thought it would be really good to add that as the base. So at this point, I want it to become nice and thick, which it's pretty much almost there. I'm gonna let it bubble for, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 minutes until everything is thickened, it's heated through, and then we will start assembling our burgers. I almost forgot, I need to add my black olives, so I have one of those small cans of sliced black olives. Okay, now we'll let it simmer for just a little bit. All right, I have my buns here. So we're gonna add some of our taco meat filling right to the bottom, or on 1/2 of the bun. And if you wanna toast your buns first, feel free to do that. I'm going for really simple tonight. So I'm gonna finish getting these assembled. What I have going on here is we're gonna do some shredded lettuce. We've got a little red onion, tomato, a little cilantro, and then I have some Mexican crema, which is like a sour cream, but it's really thin, and I'll drizzle that over the top. I thought that that would be good. And then after that, it is ready to taste. So let me get these assembled, and then we'll come back here together and fill up our bellies. Well, I don't know about you, but I think that that looks so delicious and exciting. I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna eat this on camera because I definitely need 2 hands. So let me take a bite and then we'll come back here and talk about it. That meat mixture is super delicious. It's almost kind of sweet because of the taco sauce, so it gives off that sloppy joe vibe, but you definitely taste the taco flavor with all the taco seasoning. And then the toppings just make it so much fun. Plus, this is a relatively healthy dinner. You could also do like whole wheat buns if you wanted to boost the nutrition. This is fantastic. I know my family is going to flip for these. And like I said, if you don't want to do burger buns, or maybe you're doing kind of the low carb thing, put the meat mixture over a bed of lettuce and make a salad. There's so much you could do with the meat. You could even make nachos or put it in burritos. It's very versatile, but having it on burger buns, I think makes it so much fun. Definitely a sloppy joe experience. This is so good. So we are going to mix up our meatballs for our Salisbury steak meatballs. And I like to add in all of the other seasonings and ingredients before I add in the ground beef. So we're going to start with 1 egg. My husband loves Salisbury steak, and I think that this is going to be a fun way to enjoy it. We also have a 1/2 cup of panko breadcrumbs. I have 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire. I have 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. You could also use yellow mustard if you don't have Dijon. And then I have 2 tablespoons of A1 steak sauce, or you can use any kind of steak sauce that you have on hand. We have 2 tablespoons of ketchup. And then for our seasonings, I have a 1/2 teaspoon each of salt and pepper, and then I did 1 teaspoon of the umami mushroom seasoning blend, which I've shared lots of times here. I'll show it to you again, get it to focus. So good, from Trader Joe's, but you can also get it off of Amazon. So those guys go in. Okay, and I'm gonna use my fork here to kind of mix everything together. I'm actually gonna be serving these meatballs over mashed cauliflower, but the great thing is you can do it over so many different things. Egg noodles, rice, you can eat them plain, over mashed potatoes. That looks good and it smells delicious. And the last thing is our pound of ground meat, and I'm doing lean ground beef. My hands are clean. I'm gonna go in with my hands because it's just so much easier to mix up. So basically you just wanna mix everything together like you would any other kind of meatball. That looks good, so let me grab a plate and then we're gonna start getting our meatballs assembled. So I have my little scoop here. So you're gonna want roughly about a tablespoon. And we're just gonna roll these into little meatballs. So I'll get all of these rolled out and then we'll head over to the stove and start getting them seared and keep moving along. So at this point, we just want to get our meatballs browned. I'm not going to cook them all the way through. So once I have a little color on both sides, then we'll transfer them back to the plate and then we can move on with our delicious gravy. So next I'm going to add 1 more tablespoon of olive oil here. Then we're going to add in about a 1/2 cup of onion. Then I also have an 8-ounce container of sliced baby bella mushrooms. And we'll saute our onions and mushrooms until our mushrooms are browned, and this is all kind of reduced down quite a bit. I wish that you could be in here to smell my kitchen right now. These look amazing, so what I'm gonna do is actually transfer the mushrooms and onions to the same plate as the meatballs, and then that way we can pull together our gravy sauce. So we're gonna add 3 tablespoons of butter here. Get this melted down. And then next we're going to do 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. So basically we're just kind of creating this, they call it a roux, but this is what's going to thicken our gravy. And we'll kind of cook this down for maybe 30 seconds or so. And then next we're going to add in another tablespoon of Worcestershire. Just kidding, we're actually gonna do 2. I read that wrong. And then we're also gonna add in 1 1/4 cups of chicken stock. Okay, so we'll whisk this together till it's fully combined and you don't see any more lumps. And then we'll add back our meatballs and our mushrooms and onions. And it's already, you can tell, starting to thicken a bit. Ooh, that looks so good. Okay, I'm gonna turn the heat down just a little bit. So let's get our mushrooms and meatballs back in the pan here. I can do it without breaking up my meatballs. Remember, your meatballs aren't cooked all the way through at this point. So we're gonna let this simmer, finish cooking the meatballs, and basically it just turns into magic. Gently kind of fold that sauce in. I am so excited about this. I'm excited about every time I get a chance to eat something yummy. So we'll let this simmer on low for about 5 to 6 more minutes until the meatballs are cooked through and this is ready to go. And like I said, we're gonna serve this over some mashed cauliflower. I actually have that recipe on my website. I'll make sure to link it below. It's really easy. Okay, once the meatballs are finished cooking, then we're gonna serve this up and taste it together. we are ready to taste this. So the reason that I like to do cauliflower mash instead of like mashed potatoes, even though mashed potatoes are delicious, is I feel like Salisbury steak and the gravy is already kind of heavy, and the cauliflower mash just lightens it up. You don't feel like you're eating a super heavy meal, even though it's definitely satisfying and filling. I just love the cauliflower mash for a little lighter option. So this isn't necessarily low carb, but it is lower carb because you don't have the mashed potato if you're trying to watch your carbs. That is terrible. I am laughing because my daughter is actually in the kitchen with me right now. She's home from college, yay. She's not gonna get in front of the camera, but she's making me laugh. The meatballs are perfectly tender. They're just so delicious. And that little bit of Dijon mustard in there and the A1 sauce, the combination, gives the meatballs awesome flavor. And then of course, the mushroom gravy. This is just a fantastic meal and super easy to throw together. I love that. I feel like all you would need is maybe just a side salad or some green beans and it would complete this meal. This is so good. You're really gonna love this one. Well, here we have all the ingredients for our ground beef fried rice. So you're gonna wanna make sure to have leftover rice. That works best for fried rice. And then I'm gonna use some frozen veggies to keep this really simple. And then everything else is easy. Some garlic, onion, we've got a couple sauces. But this is gonna be super, super delicious and easy to make. Nice big pan. We have our heat set on a medium, and I'm gonna add 1 pound of lean ground beef. We're also gonna add in about a half a cup or so of diced up onion. And then we'll get this crumbled up and cooked. Okay, this will take about 5 minutes or so. Meanwhile, I need to mince up my garlic cloves. My garlic is flying everywhere. So what's great about this recipe is you can use up your extra veggies in your vegetable drawer if you've got some kind of going south, but they're not quite ready for the garbage. This is a great recipe, or any kind of fried rice, really. Or if you want to be super lazy like I am today, and we're going to do frozen veggies, even better. We definitely want to add some garlicky flavor. Okay, that looks good. Scooch that out of the way. And then we're gonna get our eggs cracked. I'm gonna go ahead and whisk these up first before I add them in to our pan, just to make it a little bit easier to scramble. Whenever I think of fried rice, I always think of my childhood when we used to go camping. It was the only time that my mom made fried rice because she had 4 of us kids. And when we were at home, of course, she didn't want little bits of fried rice all over her kitchen floor. So she would just make fried rice when we went camping, and we loved it because we could get it all over the ground and it didn't really matter. Okay, that looks good. Let's go check on our beef. Beef and onions are looking good. So, you know what's so funny about this little ground beef crusher, that's what I'll call it, is before I was on YouTube, I used to watch people make recipes on YouTube, and they would use one of these, and I always thought like, oh brother, that thing is just silly. Like, why would you have a tool like that in your kitchen? But I'm telling you, it really is a game changer when it comes to crumbling up your ground beef. I love it. I love this thing so much. The only downside is that I have to always switch it out for a spoon because I can't finish it with this, but it still is amazing. I love it. So in goes our garlic cloves. This is already almost done. So fast. Make sure to saute your garlic for at least 30 seconds. Pretty much once it starts smelling like that delicious garlic flavor in your kitchen, it's good to go. You can move on. So next up, I have a tablespoon, probably a little bit more than a tablespoon of sesame oil, toasted sesame oil. And then we're also gonna add in 1 cup of these frozen veggies that are like partially thawed. And you know what? I'm gonna add a little bit more. I don't feel like that's enough. So maybe like 1.25 cups. We'll stir all this together, and I'm gonna cook the veggies and kind of saute them a little bit for a few minutes before we start adding in the egg and rice and the sauce. So I've actually hiked the heat up to like more like a medium high because we definitely want to fry our rice. But I am gonna do my egg first. We'll throw in our egg right there on that one side. And then we'll let it kind of hang out there for a second while it sets, and then we'll start scrambling it. See what we got under there? Oh, that's perfect. And don't worry about if some of the vegetables get in there. We're gonna mix it all together anyway. Okay, that looks good. So bring it all together. We just have a couple more ingredients. Well, actually 3 to be exact. So I've got 3 cups of white rice. I believe that this is basmati rice. That's what I did. And this was already pre-cooked and in my refrigerator. I'm also going to add in my sauce. I have 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. And then we are going to do about a tablespoon of hoisin sauce, roughly. You can also do oyster sauce if you don't have hoisin. Now we'll just spend some time frying our rice and getting it kind of crisp in spots, but really just bringing this all together. And then the only thing we're going to do is we're going to finish this with salt and pepper if we need it. And then we'll add some green onions to the top for some freshness. It'll be super yummy. So again, at this point, I do have my heat set on like a medium high, and we'll kind of let the rice hang out here for a little bit. Stir it a couple times, and then we will finish this off. Okay, this looks perfect. I see little crispy bits on the beef and the rice. So I'm going to pull this off the heat, and we're going to give it a taste and then garnish it with our onions. But the real question here is, do you eat fried rice with a spoon or a fork? Because I grew up eating it with a fork, but my husband always wants a spoon. And so does my daughter. Like, they like to eat fried rice with a spoon. And I feel like it's not soup, but I understand the method. Like, it doesn't always hold together well on the fork, but I just have to. I cannot eat fried rice with a spoon. You'll have to let me know in the comments. Now that we have that important question out of the way, let's give this a taste. I think what I really like about this is it's just different from your traditional fried rice that's made with chicken and pork. You have that beefy flavor, but still have some of the Asian-inspired ingredients like the soy sauce and the hoisin sauce, which gives it kind of that sweetness and saltiness. This is delicious, and I love that it's so fast, but it also is healthy. You've got lots of protein in here from the ground beef, and then of course you can add as much veggie as you want and really change it up and just kind of do what you have on hand. This is definitely a recipe worth saving for sure. Well, I hope that you got some inspiration today for some ground beef recipes. Don't forget, all the links are in the descriptions. And if you're not already signed up, I do send out 2 newsletters a week with new recipes, weekly menus, and just a whole bunch of fun stuff. I'll make sure to put that link in the descriptions as well. If you're new here, I'd love for you to be part of my YouTube family. Make sure to subscribe. Other than that, I hope you have a really blessed week, and we will see you next time.